So welcome to episode 29. Yay! This is the episode that we interviewed
Kellianna.
I'm just so stoked. I'm still kind of high from it. But just to give you a little bit of background for those of you who don't know, who haven't been following us and don't know how much we fangirl this woman, Kellianna is an American pagan artist who's just really known internationally for performing both pagan and Celtic oriented chant and song. And in which she evokes a great deal of myth, a great deal of magic, and ancient times. And we've been, well, I've loved her for years, but we've been trying to get her on the show since our music episode. And it finally came to fruition, and it was such a wonderful feeling.
Stay tuned to hear some magic.
Welcome to the Witchy Wit podcast, where we look at life through a witchy lens. I'm Kimberlyn.
I'm Leilani.
At Witchy Wit, we explore current events,
Ideas,
music and books,
and experiences in ways that recognize energy and life in everybody and everything.
We are both real witches.
And we bring two real perspectives through the lens of our different ages,
races,
and backgrounds.
With a healthy skepticism for what we have been told is true, our conversations are raw, candid, and vulnerable.
Join us as we cast a spell to uncover what we each know is true in our intuitive, witchy selves. Welcome to our circle. Welcome to episode 29. We have the pleasure of sharing a phenomenal interview with our listeners with Kellianna, a pagan musical priestess extraordinaire.
Indeed. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about what's going on outside of the podcast, which it won't be for me, but whatever. So what's going on with you?
So I wanted to share for my check-in that, so it actually is about the interview, but it was that as I was preparing for the interview, I was feeling nervous. And so I was like, why am I feeling so nervous? I was feeling nervous that she would, say that I wasn't a witch or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That her experience would be so different from yours? Or?
Well, that she would just be, judgmental of me. Now, but let me explain what, so then I was so then I'm like preparing, I'm like reading her blogs. I'm just like trying to do my research to gather all this information about her. And then I was like, why am I so freaking nervous? And I was like, well, I'm worried she's going to think that I'm not worthy of I'm not witchy enough or good enough. Well, why is that? Well, and then I realized, it has nothing to do with her other than I really respect her and I respect her work.
Right.
So what it really has to do with is me, me being afraid, me questioning my own value and witchiness.
Gotcha.
It actually doesn't have anything to do with her other than that she shines and radiates magnificence, and that I was scared that when I stepped up next to her, or virtually over Zoom across from her, that it would that it would make me see some things that I was scared about. So it doesn't have anything to do with her. She was lovely. She was warm and welcoming. She was vulnerable and shared authentically. It has nothing to do with her. So it was just a really great learning experience for me. And I'm just so grateful, though, that I didn't project that onto her.
Oh, good.
Because I nipped it in the bud and I focused on myself. And then that left me in a really great space so that when she did show up, I could feel the nervousness and say, you know what, that's about you. Just show up for her. And then that let me do that. So.
Brilliant.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, I first of all, I honor your honesty and your authenticity. And I also honor the fact that, you're so put together and that you have these doubts and you can work your way through them. Sorry, that was like something flying. You're still working, you still have these moments where you work your way through them, but you have the tools and you are able to work your way through them. So,
thank you.
Great model.
Thanks. What about you? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about the internet. Well, it's so funny because I was not nervous. So I think we've said this a couple of times that one of my things is I often don't want to meet authors of my favorite books and things
Yeah.
like that because I just don't I often don't feel the need. I don't, I might fangirl from afar, but I don't need to actually meet them. Or in some cases, I'm almost kind of afraid that they're going to turn out to be shits, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Which
better.
has happened, right?
Which has happened. I've over the years, there's been some people whose work I admire, but I don't admire them, and but I never got a sense that that was going to be the case here. So it was just such a delight to talk with her, and I was just so excited that this is someone who makes this incredible magic, and then she can also talk to us about doing yoga and Zumba and things like that. And I just and on a certain level, just like with you, it kind of gave me a little bit of not support. What's the word I'm looking for? It gave me a little bit more confidence about myself in that here's someone who's all of these things, and I can be someone who's all of these things too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think so.
That's
I think
so cool.
so.
So feel free to keep listening on, and you'll hear our phenomenal interview with this just amazing woman and priestess.
Indeed. Stay tuned.
I'm gonna heal me. Please release it bind. I'm gonna break it. That do not change it bind. I'm gonna break these chains that bind. I'm gonna break these chains that bind.
Well, welcome to our interview of Kellianna. We're so excited about this, but first, let's just get started before we say anything else.
Okay.
Let's get started by actually saying, just introducing this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman that we're so excited to have here. So Kellianna is an accomplished musician and performer worldwide. Her songs are brilliant evocations of goddess-inspired folk music. And she's also a certified teacher of spirit song, which is a powerful tool for accessing the authentic sound that is you and entering into spirit. Kellianna facilitates chant circles at festivals and shops all over the States. She's a collector of chants and takes great joy in sharing these chants in her circles. She is experienced in the art of ritual chant and uses song to move energy, to celebrate the ancient mysteries, and to strengthen intention. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies. I'm thrilled.
We're so glad that you could be a part of this. We've been just anticipating this for months and months and months. Mm-hmm. And so we're glad you can join us. So why don't you get us started?
Sure. So how would you describe yourself and your spiritual practice?
I am very much an eclectic, solitary pagan, really. I had some formalized training when I was in my early 20s, and I'm 53, almost 54 now. So I've been on the path for over 30 years. So I'm going way back. But I did get I was in a small coven of 3 with, really like one of those strict high priestesses, you know what I mean? And the best thing about it was way too constrictive for me. I'm too much of a free spirit, and I'm way green, and she was very much like Alexandrian. So it was a little too structured and rigid for me. But that being said, the first thing out of the gate I learned was responsible intention and how to, really be safe with your magic. And of course, we all make mistakes and flex our magical muscles and have things blow up in our faces early on. It happened to me. But I learned the real responsibility of doing magical works and intention, and how careful you need to be to make it safe for yourself and for anyone else really basically around you. So that was the really best thing I learned about it. Other than that, I railed against the structure of it and the restrictions of it. And we would get like pages of text with our parts highlighted. We'd be reading them in circle. I was like, what? Blah, It's like me. I just like run out under the hemlock tree and like throw up my arms, and there's ritual right there, and I don't have to say anything, or I'll sing it, so I'm really no structure at all. I can just like decide at 11 o'clock at night I'm gonna go light the fire and do a little ritual, and then I'm like, oh, I'll make an incense. What do I have in the spice cabinet? I don't plan very much, but and then after more than 3 decades on the path, I just realized that every moment of my life is intention, and every step I take, every breath, every decision, every choice, it's all magic, it's all intention. And that's what life is, really. You don't have to set a circle to do it. You can just breathe it every day.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
I wish that I had known. So it took me decades to figure that out. Like I wish, because everything in books is always like, stand 45 degrees and hold your athame up at 60 degrees and say these and I was like, nah. But I thought that meant I identify as a witch. I thought that meant I wasn't a witch. Mm-hmm. But then I just hear you talking. I'm like, well, I wish I would have known that 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
but my first I was doing like a little workshop. I guess it was a shielding workshop. I was very young and into this journey. And we did this class, and the woman's like, imagine this gorgeous, soft blue light surrounding you in a bubble of protection. And for me, like this, plates of armor, like the back car, just came up around my whole body and just closed me up. And I was just like, I think I'm doing it wrong. So at the end of class, I went to the woman. I'm like, I couldn't find the blue light. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I just had like plates of armor that just came all around me. She goes, honey, you have no problem. You did just fine. But
yeah.
Like, so there you go. It's like, it is so individual to people, but it's great to get the base knowledge. I think 10 or 15 years after I had started doing magical work, I found an elementary witchcraft book, and it was for beginners, and I went back and read that thing from cover to cover just to remind me of what the real basics really are and intentions really are for ritual, because things can get very much pageantry and theatrical depending on the situations, and that's when I get a little bit lost. It doesn't feel so authentic to me. Not that I have anything against beautifully crafted ritual, don't get me wrong, and but sometimes if it gets a little too out, inauthentic, it's hard for me to really feel it, I guess. Is what I need to say.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask, so this question, we got to you through your music. That's how, my first experience of you was with, listening to your music. And to me, your music is so expressive of so many of these ideas that you're just saying, right? And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about like your path, your journey, your faith, and your music, and, maybe the connections, or if there's, how you feel about that.
I've always been a singer, and I'm starting at young junior high. I was singing in rock bands, and in fact, my first band was me and like 4 guys, and we were called Medusa way back when I was 13 years old.
Nice. Did you know you were pagan back then? No. Or is that a coincidence?
No, it was a coincidence. But we were heathens because my parents were both excommunicated from the Catholic Church. Before I was born. So we really didn't have any structured religion. I mean, my mother would dress us up and bring us to church on Easter, but other than that, honestly, nothing.
Okay.
My sister went to CCD, and my parents just gave up after that. I had a babysitter. My next door neighbor was a wonderful hippie woman. She was she taught Bible school. She's a Protestant. So it was during the summer she was teaching, and she took me to Bible school. I was maybe 8 years old. And I remember raising my hand in the middle of Bible school class and saying, well, if the little children in Africa don't know about God and Jesus, well, then, how can you hold that against them if they don't know? I go, how? And she left me at home with her husband. After
No.
would not take me to Bible school anymore because I was asking way too many questions. 8 years old. And then, high school, I think I had an advanced social studies class, like my sophomore year, maybe. And he did a world religions section. And that's when I started to get the gist that the mythology that I had been obsessed with since like Sinbad stuff, that was actually ancient belief. And that's when the seed started. And it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I met a witch, and all the questions eventually were answered. Like I met this woman. I was doing a gig and with a blues band I sang with. And it was full moon, and I was out on the back porch where there was nobody, and I'm just standing under there like, just like totally zoning out of the moon. And a gorgeous woman comes, Stevie Nicks looking woman comes outside, and I think it was my harmonica player followed her out. And he's like, "Hey, Heidi, did you do your sacrifice any chickens in your backyard today?" And she said, "I did a ritual in my backyard, but there were no chickens involved." And the first thing in my mind was like, what does she mean? What ritual? What is she talking about? I wanted to know exactly this ritual she did under the full moon. And then I think it was 2 weeks later, I was at rehearsal and my harmonica player shows up with this woman. And she was my first high priestess. She was the one who kind of introduced me into the path. So that was in the 90s when I was in my early 20s. But I had always played with bands and done music professionally. I sang in the pubs, I did this and that, and played with a great duo called Moonstruck, and just many different incarnations of music. And I was writing songs and chants and things for our little community rituals in central Massachusetts. But it wasn't until I met Shauna Carroll, of Goddess Chant fame, who became my teacher and mentor. She took me to Glastonbury to the Goddess Conference the first time. I came in as a lead singer with a production. We were doing a live production of Goddess Chant. So we went to Stonehenge on the way to Glastonbury in the morning, and I never in my life have been so exhausted and just defeated. I was playing with a band of like 5 guys and me. We were gonna like write a great album, and all they did was like drink beer and smoke cigarettes and fight, and nothing ever happened. So I remember stomping around Stonehenge when we were doing kind of our silent ritual and just being like, okay, I think it's time for me to stop music. I think I should just give up, go cubicle, just like settle it in, because this is too exhausting. I felt like I was dragging a boat anchor around. But as I was contemplating in this silent ritual Shauna had us, we came together in the center, and she asked us to share what came to us. And I opened my mouth up inside the stones of Stonehenge at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I started singing Stonehenge.
No.
My message from Goddess was to, break the things that were holding me back, to let them go. And basically what she said is like, you're already on the path, just open your eyes. And then I get to Glastonbury, and there's 500 goddess loving women there, and people are singing music to the goddess and chanting to the goddess and performing music to the goddess. And it was like this huge light bulb. I'm like, oh my gosh, people want this music? I have this music. I left the conference. I went home and started recording Lady Moon the beginning of October. And before the end of the month, that CD was done. It was like a purging Lady Moon.
Wow.
And I sent a copy back to the Goddess Conference before New Year's and said that I wanted to play there next summer. And I was headlining. And so within a year, Lady Moon went international like that, because of the Goddess Conference. But that is how I married my spirituality and married my music, and that changed my life. And I have played in 13 countries on 3 continents, from Australia to Manitoba, and had these amazing experiences because I asked the goddess for guidance and she gave it to me.
I have to say, I was taking some notes. One of the things that strikes me, and we're kind of going off script here.
I didn't expect. We never stick to the script.
I love going off script. Yay.
Well, one of the things when I listen to your music, sometimes I think, and this is just me. I'm not saying this is what your music is doing, but what I hear is like blues or gospel, and it's just like this. And so when you said that you sang with a blues band, I was like, Oh, okay. I get that. I get that. It is. I receive this as so heart and soul felt, and sometimes it just seems as if it's less about the words and more about that just like outpouring of I don't know, spirit or something like that. And that's just so. I'm so happy to hear that you that whatever your experience might have been with these bands or whatever, but I could hear some of that experience, some of that just probably you've honed your craft or whatever with performing with these bands.
Yeah, I mean, it all started there. I've always been very passionate. I'm a Pisces, a very emotional, very passionate, and having that voice, of music to relay a message is just like, I've always sang, always. I've always known I was capable of. I always saw myself doing wonderful things in life. I saw it. I knew I was capable of doing it. And it just took me, to take the courageous steps to just do it, and having a life as a music, as a career was not an easy choice. The pandemic pretty much squashed all that. I'm doing some bookkeeping work and going to school to get an associate degree in accounting, just so that, I've been a musician. I'm going to be working until in my 70s. I need some way to make a living. And unfortunately, at my age, traveling and traipsing around the country and spending a couple months in Europe every summer, I won't be doing that anymore. I will be touring. I will be performing once it's safe again. But on the scale that I had done, not anymore. No. So, but everything I do is always just to supplement my music, because I'm already booked to play at the Goddess Conference in Glastonbury next summer. I had to cancel it twice, 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
So they emailed me this week, said, Are you coming next year? I'm like, I'm there. If it's safe, I am there. So they're already starting to, and then people heard I'm going, and then they wanted me to go to Switzerland, and they wanted me to go to Holland.
Because you're already in Europe, right? Yeah,
but I don't want to stay. It's exhausting, and it's not profitable. It ends up being draining after, it's a difficult life, and I'm getting older, man. I'm not 20 anymore. Like, I want my bed, I want my Netflix, I want my cuddles with my dog and my man. I get that. But doing a lot more stuff online.
No, yeah, and that's another thing that we've learned is how to make these connections in other ways, right?
Yeah, that's why I've been teaching workshops online. They work out amazing. Lots of Zoom interviews and concerts. We've learned how to use this technology to our advantage, and thank the gods that we have it, because we're able to stay in touch and with my fans, and that's really important.
Yeah. And you've been able to do your blog posts. You started that.
Right. I got invited by Elaine Brown to do the Pagan Song. It's pagansong.com. And they started it from their kind of Crow Woman band, but they expanded it out to be like a weekly blog. So she asked me to do the first post, and it was the story behind the song. So I did the story behind the Warrior Queen song and how that inspired a fantasy fiction book trilogy. It was pretty amazing. And then the second one I do a lot of work with the inner warrior. That's kind of my thing. So the second post this couple weeks ago was a warrior in every woman. Yeah. And that's one of their top 20 read posts across the entire site, I guess. So yeah.
As it should be.
Exactly.
Well, so let's kind of take a left turn. So you mentioned the Warrior Queen series. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The Warrior Queen song was a song on my first album, and it's a song loosely based on Nordic myth about a queen who dies on the battlefield. And I basically begin the story at her death. She's tethered to her body. She's kind of floating above and watching what's happening below. And she's narrating it kind of as it goes. And ultimately what she's looking for is to be burned on her funeral pyre so she can be released. So she's talking about what's happening. And ultimately at the end, they do her ceremony, and that's the end of the song. So I played the song for my mom when I wrote it. And she's like, I love it. What's the story? I go, that's the story, Mom. She's died. She goes, no, that's the story of her death. I want to know about her life. So I think way back then in 2004, I started thinking about that. And I would take notes over the years on ideas that I had. And then I was booked to perform in Australia at the Australian Goddess Conference. And I hooked up with my best friend, Wendy Rule, and we did a 3.5-week tour in Southern Australia together. It was so much fun. Us in a little Mitsubishi van driving all over the place. And when I was in Australia at the Goddess Conference, I met a woman named Kali Cargill. And she had written a beautiful book called Daughters of Time that I picked up there and loved. And I loved her. She was a wonderful woman. And then the next summer, I was in Glastonbury, and I sit down at my CD table, and right next to me, who's there? Kali Cargill. She's sitting right next to me. So we started talking and hanging out through the conference, and I told her, I said, I always had this idea for a book. I go, well, not really a book. It's more like a trilogy. And we started talking about it. She's like, oh, it's very interesting. And the next day in the morning, before we were even open, I walked in with my coffee, and she walks up to me, and we stood there face to face and just started nodding at each other. And we started right then and there planning and writing the book series. So it's the Warrior Queen Chronicles. It's a trilogy. 2 books are released. We have Tapestry of Dark and Light and Tapestry of Strength and Sorrow. Those are the 2 books released. We're working on book 3 right now, actually.
Yay. Yeah.
And,
well, so I haven't read the second one yet, but one of the things that strikes me about the first is that it's very poetic, and not only is it poetic, but I love like the music references, like they're singing I think it's like the fisherman songs and things like that, and so is that kind of, well, would you care to speak to that? Is that me telling you what I think it is?
Well, yeah, Kali and we always plan the story pretty much. She writes the text. I've been writing little excerpts, like there's Angan Island is where kind of the witches live, and I'll write the excerpts from Angan Island. But Kali will be, what do you want to integrate in? And we'll integrate in song and, different lyrics from songs, and we always plan all that stuff together. So it's just very organic. She'll be like, I think I want a song for this, or we need to write something for that, and we put it together. It's the best collaboration I've ever had. I mean, I work really well with other women in the right circumstances, but with Kali, people say we're on the same page, but we're on the same word on the same page, like every time. Every time
you're writing a book
without fail. I mean, and we've been at this for years now. I adore her. In fact, I have a conference call with her tomorrow night, so we can progress the story some more. And I love it. I love the books. I have a Patreon campaign, and besides doing once a month concerts, I do chapter readings. I'm getting through book 1. I think I'm at like chapter 27 of book 1, and then I'm going to go on to book 2. So I'm narrating, just reading the chapters basically as part of gifts for my patrons. It's so much fun. I love books.
Yeah. That sounds fantastic. And just in case people would like to find you, can they find you as Kellianna on Patreon?
Yes, Kellianna.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
I was just curious if you felt like you had influences that really like helped you become who you are or create your music.
Definitely. My early influences from childhood were like Julie Andrews and Judy Garland, Nina Simone.
Oh,
I'm passionate about Nina since my teens. Janis Joplin, a lot of just powerful female vocalists. And then, in this life of this genre, it's Shauna Carroll, and it's Jonna Runnels, who's an amazing drummer and singer from Glastonbury, England. She was my drum teacher and really instrumental, like Shauna, in getting me kind of the push I needed to go. So they've been hugely influential to me as well.
So I guess my question, I hear that you were doing, you had your bands, and then you felt this music coming out of you when you were in Stonehenge. So do you, because some of your music is not necessarily particularly pagan, would you say it's maybe Celtic or Nordic um, or folk?
I write about the stories that speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I am not traditionalist. I write from Nordic myth, I write from Celtic myth, I write from Indigenous American myth, Greek. It doesn't matter to me. It's about the story. So I call myself a storyteller. I'm just telling this, like every storyteller has their own voice, tells a story in their own way. I'm taking that story and I'm telling it in my way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shall I? Okay. So if someone could only listen to one of your songs and one of your pieces to kind of get to know who you are.
That's the hardest question, right?
I know that's
but I think globally, hugely popular song of mine is I Walk with the Goddess.
Mm-hmm.
That song is like iconic. People think it's a traditional. They don't know that I wrote it in 2003. I actually saw a review on Amazon of I Walk with the Goddess, and it said, I love this traditional song, pagan song, but I think I like Kellianna's version the most. I was like, well, thank you, because I wrote it.
Wow.
I heard that in 8 different languages all over the world. I've had emails and messages from people globally. I had a message from Klaus from Denmark who used it for his, initiation ritual. And I've had, emails from Mexico where they used it in their song circles, and Slovakia. I mean, it's so universal. I guess that would be the song that I would have to choose. Okay. It's a hard choice, but that would be a good place to start.
Yeah, because there's, in my opinion, there's such breadth, just, such diversity in terms of your music. And now that you've explained that it's not so much stylistic, but it's more whatever the story is that you're trying to tell, it makes so...
It's stories, it's experiential. I write about sacred places I visit. I write about maybe ceremony or gatherings or Sabbats, I'm all over the board. It's just inspiration comes and I just kind of go with it. I have no rhyme or reason. I don't read or write music. Everything just comes from the soul. I have to figure it out on my guitar because I don't really know what I'm doing, but it all works. So I'll just keep doing it.
Well, it's so amazing. When you say, Janis Joplin and Nina Simone, that makes so much sense to me, because I hear like this, this raw emotion that, it seems so authentic that I
love just raw and real. That's what I'm going for. Even when I record my CDs, I mean, sometimes I have fun really producing something really like big, but other than that, it's just, I almost want it so that when I walk onto a stage at a little shop in Minnesota that I can perform like what you hear on my CD. I want it to be almost as real and true as to what I really do, as just little old me, out there in the world doing my thing. I like the raw and real. It's what I love to listen to, and it's how I like to present my music.
Yay.
Can I take another left turn?
Sure.
So that's 2 lefts, which make it a 180.
Okay, all right.
So I consider myself an energy witch, and I'm very in my body. I'm very movement oriented. And I was curious, as for somebody with such a passion about music, I was curious how you experience that in your body.
Oh, well, it's intense. When I sing physically, I'm singing, I feel like I'm standing in like this column of like rushing energy coming from the ground, like through me. It's like I'm this conduit. It just comes crashing out of me. It's so intense. It's just like, and then when I'm done, I'm high as a kite. And then an hour later, I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I just crash completely. And that being said, the energy comes out, it feeds the audience sends it back. So then we just get this really beautiful kind of sharing of this energy, because it's way more than I can handle. So I have to feed it out there. And I think that's why a lot of people are just like, whoa, because just a lot of power, a lot of energy. It's coming from Mama Earth. She sent it right through me, and I just got to get out of the way and let it come through.
I know, but it comes through, and it brings a lot of you in there too. So it's not just her.
It's definitely a nice assistance. But as far as movement and dance, well, I am an obsessed Zumba person, so I became a Zumba instructor during lockdown. So I'm teaching Zumba Gold. Not my music, but I think I want to do a Zumba goddess thing. One of these.
Oh my gosh!
We're there.
Sold.
Wouldn't that be so much fun? If we did goddess Zumba, when we can gather safely again, I will be adding Zumba goddess classes to my
gosh.
I love it.
Like, can I do such and such at Zumba? She'd let me do it in a heartbeat.
We bring our whole circle.
Right.
Oh my God, it'd be so much fun.
Oh, it would be.
Oh my gosh. Why hasn't that been done before? This is a great idea.
It really is.
Don't tell anybody. No.
Right.
Don't tell me my idea. No, it's kidding.
We can literally walk with the goddess while we walk and Zoom,
a little bit of salsa in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get this going.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I love it. And I love the fact that, so here we have this really, really powerful music, right? And we're connecting with that. And then we're really grounding ourselves in our body. I don't know.
I think I'm onto something.
Yeah, I think so
I'm going to
too.
be offering some goddess Zumba this winter. We'll do it to some perfectly awesomely pagan songs. I think.
I love that idea. So as you go through your day, I know music is such an important part for you, a part of you, and how much? How much does that figure as you go? What does a day look like for you? A normal day look like for you?
Everything's changed so much for the pandemic. Before my day was, my life was booking gigs, planning travel, getting promo together. But that's just doesn't exist anymore. So for me, it's more like just keeping my Patreon campaign going, doing the concerts for my patrons. And, I haven't really actively been trying to, I did the Rome Goddess Conference virtually. I did the English Goddess Conference virtually. So I did some virtual stuff this summer, but I am way less active than I would like to be. I haven't really done any public concerts online because we had pretty iffy Wi-Fi for a while. I really need to record my concerts and release them that way because of the mountain, Wi-Fi isn't really always reliable. So, but I haven't done it. I feel like I got out of touch. This pandemic has crashed it all into the ground. Doing the best I can. Wendy Rule is the one who forced me to do the Patreon. She was on me for months until she made me do my Patreon campaign, which I love doing. And it does keep me recording every month. It keeps me with the music. I have a couple songs that I want to finish, a few songs that I want to finish and probably release as singles this winter if I can get them recorded. So not as much time as I really wish because I am in school now. So.
Oh, right. That's right. Yes.
I got another year. I take a couple classes a semester. I've been maintaining a 4.0 since I started. So now, of course, for my last year, I got to keep it up. You can't just start slacking your last year. So I all this pressure on myself. Who cares?
We're both teachers. So
yeah. 4.0. You know what I mean? Oh, you are. So you get it.
Yeah.
So, it's my own thing. I've always been an overachiever. It's just my deal. But I really am looking forward to doing some performances. I got some stuff starting to get booked for next year because I'm really hopeful that we can have some sense of new normal that doesn't, mean we're staying home for another year. My God, please, I need to get out. So hopefully my first gig will be in March. I'm praying. And then I'm planning on going to England and I'll just start booking stuff once it's safe to do so. And I'm probably going to flood on in. There'll be more than what I can actually do.
I suspect that a lot of us are going to kind of overdo it a little bit for a while until we kind of hit our stride because we're just going to be just so crazy. It's oh my God, we can do this stuff. So
I know.
But it's funny you were saying, about having to wanting to record because your Wi-Fi is so iffy. That's that trade-off, right? To have the beautiful. To have the nature around you and the beautiful views and things like that. So
it is. I wouldn't change it. I got an iPad with a great, I can record beautiful concerts. All of mine are recorded and released privately on YouTube or unlisted on YouTube, and I can just as easily, do it to the public too. I just haven't gotten around to doing so. I will one of these days.
I know.
You can join my Patreon campaign for $3 a month and get a concert every month and get the book readings. I mean, I have tiers that are like 3, 6, 10, 15, like really reasonable. In fact, I just had somebody sign up for a few dollars the other day, and it's just enough to keep me going, help me pay my car payment, give me the space to, finish these songs and to keep going,
Well, and it's a beautiful way also for the people who love your music to support your music, but also get like that little like we're getting the little concert that other people aren't getting.
That's exactly it. And they get a 15% discount on all my website store stuff. So for music and merch and book, you know what I mean? So I try to offer a little bit of incentive to and I have wonderful patrons. I'm so grateful, that people are into it and supporting me, and I love doing the concerts. They're so much fun. In fact, I'm recording tomorrow is my October concert. I'm recording my Samhain concert for the patrons. So I took requests and, said, what do you want to hear? And then I'll fill out a little concert. They're maybe 35 minutes. They're not wicked long ones, but it's fun.
It sounds fabulous.
Last year I did a reading, Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven.
The Raven? Yes,
I did. Yes. I recorded the Raven. It was like super
That's
fun.
a personal favorite of mine. So
yeah. So I might do stuff like that. Just try to
that's great.
Get a little more involved. The problem with me is I can't stream Facebook Live up here. It's just stop and start.
Yeah.
So it's really a bummer because I'd love to be doing some stuff on Facebook Live. But I do offer workshops. I'm going to be doing a chant writing workshop next. Right now I'm doing the Nine Moon Women's Lodge, and that's a spirit song workshop. That's vocal healing. We get together once a month on the Sunday closest to the full moon. I started in March, and we had to miss a couple months, so I'll be running it into February, but I'm just going to run that every month. It's going to be a year-round thing. People can join me on Zoom. It works beautifully. It's really powerful. And then I'm going to be doing probably a 12-week chant writing. Write your own medicine chant, write your own seasonal chants. We'll probably get together a couple times a month and have some, support within that time and teach people, how to write chants and turn mantras into music and for intention, and just, I don't even know what. It's going to be really fun. All I know is I think it'll be a lot of fun for people.
So if people want to pursue that a little bit more, can they find that on your website, or what's the best way they can get that information?
Kellianna.com. And if you go to my website, I think at the bottom of my homepage and on my sales pages, there's a sign up for my mailing list.
Okay,
so that's
perfect.
the best way to do it, is to put your name on my mailing list. That way I can send you directly the information. Facebook has become impossible to use. They block everything. I have, maybe 12,000 connections on Facebook, and I'm lucky if they send it to like 250 of them. It's become completely unwieldy to use. So I've been really pushing people to check my website and to put their name on my mailing list. And I send stuff out maybe once a month, every couple months. I'm not peppering people with stuff, but when there's something good to be told, you can get firsthand. And usually with the, my email announcements is a free song download with that. So it's worth it for people to download it. But yeah, Kellianna.com is the place to go.
That's excellent. Thank you. That's great news.
Thank you so much. It's been such a joy getting to listen to you and your experience as experiencing your spirituality through your voice and in your body.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, we're still kind of squeeing. We'll probably squee for a week or two more. But it's such a pleasure just to, I know your voice through your music, and now to hear your voice and to hear your thoughts and get a little bit of history has just been wonderous for us. Thank you.
Where are you, ladies? Where are you located?
We're in San Antonio,
Texas.
We're
Texas.
Yeah.
Well, I have so many fans in Texas, but I've never found like an event or anything to really be hosted there, because people are like, why don't you come to Texas? Why don't you come to Texas? Because I think
we can
how
hook
far
you
are you from New Mexico?
Pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Texas. Yeah, everyone always thinks, oh, okay, we're coming to Texas. No, you're 13 hours away from us.
Oh, so it's really far. See, I've never been to that part of the country, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I've flown into Austin, but I haven't driven down there. So, I never know. But I never know. When I'm going out to see my friend Wendy Rule, I might just have to stop through San Antonio.
That's right, because she's in, yes.
A house concert or something.
Yes, I've got a house.
A circle concert.
Yes, we can do this.
Yeah,
we can do this. We'll hook you up.
That's how the fun tours start right there. That's how they begin.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. I'm glad it took us 10 months to get together, but we did it.
Yes, we did. Thank you so
Leilani,
much
that you reached out.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is
Yay. I know. I'm so excited. Well, good luck with the book and with all of the concerts that you have coming up, and we look forward to following you.
Thank you, Kimberlyn, Leilani. You guys are wonderful.
Thank you so much. So are you. Love, 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 love. Take care. Thank you. Bye now.
We hope you have enjoyed the magic that has unfolded here at Witchy Wit.
It would be great if you would help make Witchy Wit possible and get access to exclusive content by donating on Patreon.
We'd love it if you join our Witchy community and enjoy shareable content on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Would you do us a big favor and support us by rating and reviewing us wherever you get your podcasts? It's free and helps witchy folks find us.
Feel free to email us at witchywitpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from our community. Reach out and let us know what's brewing in your cauldron.
New episodes are released every second and fourth Friday. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform so our episodes go right to your playlist. You can listen as you ride your broom.
Stay witchy, y'all!